Don't just live for tomorrow, or just live in yesterday. Just be glad for all you have that's in today. And though you've come through many obstacles.
Hey everyone, Connie here, and welcome to my blind reaction to Fire Force, episode 19. So, last time we just kind of had training. Everyone's training, everyone's just, like, bettering themselves. Maki's got some new upgrades, thanks to Vulcan. Arthur and Shinra are training with Benimaru. And yeah, a lot of progress is being made. And of course, Princess Hibana does not trust the good doctor. And fairly so. In fact, it seems like a lot of people don't trust him, and fairly so. I still don't know exactly where to place him. Like, we know he's working with Joker. But is he actually fully a bad guy? It's hard to say. I know I don't trust him because we've seen him working with enemies. And that's all that really matters to me. That's all that's important to me, to not trust him. But obviously the team doesn't really have, or the company doesn't really have that knowledge that we as viewers have. So, yeah. I'm very interested to see how this goes, how all of this training and whatnot goes, and how things continue to progress from here. There's 24 episodes this season, I believe. I can actually check, I think. Yeah, I just had to bring it up, the right folder. Yeah, there's 24. So we're kind of getting into what could possibly be the end game, but we might still have more training stuff in the meantime. So we're getting there. We're entering the 20s next week, so I'm definitely interested to check this out, though. So let's just get right into it. When the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades to black and then fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the episode. So, that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you at the reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So, yeah, that was the beginning of a new and the final arc of the season, clearly based on the episodes and the content. We have the Nether, which is the underground subway tunnels from prior to the Great Cataclysm. Apparently, there's all these rumors and everything about monsters and stuff being down there, but it appears that the only things down there are the White Clads, and maybe those rumors are due to the illusions that they can conjure up. It seems like there could also be maybe a little bit of, government cover-up. Maybe there's some stuff down there the government doesn't want people to find out, so they spread this bullshit about it being like the one place you don't want to go. It's certainly a possibility. I'm definitely interested to see maybe more stuff like that touches on things like that, especially with the control that this company also has on everything. Not Fire Force Company, but the business. I can't think of what its name. Hajima, that's what it is. The just control Hajima seems to have over everything. So there's a lot regarding this, and with the Great Cataclysm kind of destroying everything, it's kind of funny to me that the underground subway tunnels are like so taboo and everything now. That's a bit funny. um, but yeah, so they go down there because that's where they find out that the Whiteclads are. And the ensuing fight begins. So yeah, clearly this final arc is going to be just Company 8 versus the Whiteclads, just straight up. And obviously it's going to culminate with Shinra taking on his brother. But in the meantime, we get a few fights in this, and I'm going to start with this one, get it out of the way. The Tamaki fight was bullshit. They, for one, built up this guy that she was facing as kind of the big guns of the Whiteclads, like this really powerful, really threatening, horrifying even character. And Assault just ended up being like not really that hard to defeat. But on top of it, the way that he was actually defeated was extremely stupid and like completely contradicted what they were clearly trying to do with this scene. Like the scene makes a concerted effort like to kind of spread the idea that Tamaki is a Fire Force member too, that there's a reason she has that jacket, that she can fight as well, and she's just as worthy of respect as a member of the Fire Force. And then it just relies entirely on her Lucky Lecture lure ability, which is still the dumbest fucking thing to exist in this series. And it's literally, honestly, the only reason she wins. Let's be completely honest, she would have been absolutely destroyed without it. But because it distracted him and made him feel impure, she and Iris were able to beat him up by smacking him over the head over and over again. It completely invalidates the entire message they're trying to send about Tamaki being a strong fighter herself by the fact that she couldn't defeat this guy. If you're going to send a message like that, you have to make the character you're sending that message about actually, win on their own merit. And on top of that, by suddenly shifting the tone to something more comedic and ridiculous like that, it totally invalidates like the meaning behind the scene. Like you're supposed to take her seriously as a character, and then it does that, and that's how she wins. I'm sorry, but no. It just proves more and more that she's the worst character in this series. That she's the weakest of our core group. I guess you could consider her in there. And that all it goes to prove is that she can't win on her own. That she's kind of worthless. And that her Lucky Lecture lore is like just even worse than ever. That's all this goes to prove, and it's annoying. And especially when you compare it to everything else that the others were doing. Especially Maki. Maki was kicking ass and taking names. Like, absolutely destroying Flail and the others there like it was nothing. And like, yeah, we already know Maki's a badass, but it doesn't try to convince us like of anything different there. It just goes with what we already know, and it's like, okay, that's all we need to know. We already know she's a badass, let's just let her be a badass. But again, when you're trying to send a message about a character and fuck it up this bad, it's kind of astounding. Like, I don't think I've ever seen a series fuck up that bad in that regard. And like they even had a flashback of Tamaki being annoyed by the way Shinra was like seeing her. Like he saw her as like this little girl who needed protecting and everything, and she didn't like that. And it's like in the end, it kind of proved that she was. Like you're contradicting yourself, and you're not making this character appealing or likable by doing this shit. And again, when you build up this character, Assault, to be this extremely intimidating, horrifying bad guy, and then you just have him beaten like this, it's really disappointing. Like, I get that that might have been, in their eyes, the joke, but it just doesn't work, like, at all. And it's just getting annoying at this point. If I'm being at all honest. Like I said, it's honestly just the worst part of this by far. And it's just kind of getting old. And it's like, I don't know how many other people really hate Tamaki as much as I do. I don't even know if there are anyone who really hates her as much as I do. But it's like, honestly, even though for very different reasons, technically, she's up there with like Mineta from My Hero Academia in terms of how much I despise her character at this point. Again, for very different reasons. Mineta I despise because he's a serial sexual assaulter and the worst kind of pervert character. He's horrifically vile. And for Tamaki, I just hate her character so much because of how terribly she's written, how unlikable she is because of how she's written, and just, again, the insistence on relying on this Lucky Lecture lore that is so fucking stupid, gross, and it's the worst kind of fan service. And as I've stated before, it's like this series does have good fan service that handles it well and in a very respectful way, to where it actually makes sense, it's logical, and it serves the plot. So having this in here just makes no sense. It's just really, it grinds my gears in a way that very little else does. She is honestly becoming one of my most hated anime characters, just probably period. And I'm not talking about characters you're supposed to hate. I'm talking about characters that is just like, they're just that unlikable and unenjoyable to watch. They're just that disgusting and horrible and hateable. Not intentionally, but just because of how they're written. She's like the one thing that really keeps this series from reaching real greatness for me. I hate her that much. So hopefully that is her one real moment in this arc, and we can move on to more stuff with Maki, maybe some badass stuff with Obi, and of course leading up to Shinra versus Sho. I mean, that's obvious. That's the kind of stuff I would rather see. I'm just kind of done with Tamaki at this point. I don't care about her anymore. I would rather she just go away. Just completely. I don't think there's anything that they could even start to do that could change my mind on this at this point. They've just fucked up that bad. So yeah, I'm done with that bullshit. It's unless there's an episode or something where it's a very strong part of the episode, like where it's an actual like notable part of the episode where I can't talk about it otherwise. This is probably the last I'm going to try to focus on talking about this. It's just I don't want to anymore. It's like I've said it all at this point. I'm just going to be repeating myself otherwise. I just want to be done with it. So again, unless it comes up to a point where it's actually important to the episode or it's a good amount of the episode or something like that, then I probably won't talk about it anymore. So yeah. But tell me in the comments below, what did you think of this episode of Fire Force? And let me know, obviously without spoilers, what you think this is going to kind of escalate into. I'm doubting Show is going to be saved for clear reasons, honestly. But I wonder if we're actually going to meet the evangelist before the end of the season. That's something to question. I guess we'll see. In the meantime, thank you all so much for tuning in, and for now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.